Yet another episode where we shall be looking at the revision test of mathematics term 3. Okay. Now, in this paper, what we should expect or anticipate is that we should have something to do with probability, because that's a term 3 topic. And then we must have something to do with statistics. And then lastly, we must have some bit of finance. Okay. Now, some examiners could include the trig, especially the graphs, and then the 2D, okay, to solve triangles. But in this case, we're not going to touch this because in our first test, we saw that aspect. All right, so let's dive into the paper. They're telling us that we have 4 questions and then we need to answer all the questions. Okay, show the numbering system as indicated on the paper. Calculations must be shown. Use a calculator, 2 decimals, and all of that, okay? Question number 1, which is the finance question. They're telling us that an investment is tripled in value over a period of 8 years. Calculate the annual compound interest rate as a percentage that would make this possible. So this question does not talk about the exact amount that is being used, but rather just an investment. So this investment can be an amount, but what counts is the triple part and then the period. So let's say we know that with compound interest, A is P into 1 plus I to the exponent of N. Okay, meaning that if our investment was P, meaning that the future value is going to be 3P. Our N is just 8. And then we do the necessary calculations. Okay, let me work this out this side. Okay, so we're saying A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent of N. We say that's a 3P, P plus 1I to the exponent of 8. Okay, start by canceling out the P's, meaning that 3 is equivalent to 1 plus I to the exponent of 8. For us to get rid of the 8, we need to find the 8th root on either sides, okay, which cancels that. On the left, we have 1 plus I. Now, for us to get the 8th root from our calculator, it will be the shift button or the second function, and then you press the square root button. That will give you something like root or the cube root of x. Then move back with the buttons and then change the 3 to the 8. And then when I do that, what do I get? We're saying that is the 8th root of 3. It gives me 1,1472. Then I need to move this one to this side, and I'll have to do the subtraction, okay? And then that's gonna be a 0,1472 equals to I. Now, whenever you ask for interest rate, always multiply the final answer by 100. Okay, so that we get our percentage as 14,72%. All right, so that is 1.1. Then 1.2, they're telling us this lady invests 25,000. It's a savings account which pays interest rate or a simple interest. 8% per annum. She invests for 6 years. What's the investment worth at the end of the 6 years? So we're dealing with simple interest. Now, the formula for simple interest is given as A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N. So how much did she invest? 25,000. So our P is 25,000. 1 plus, we have the interest rate as 8%, 8 over 100 multiplied by the 6 years. Okay, so when I punch this into the calculator straight away, have 1 plus, I have 37,000. Okay, so that becomes my answer for that. I need to get the 3 marks. All right, 1.3, consider the advert of a smart TV that is offered for sale below. We need to answer the question. So the cash price is 12,549. You need to deposit 15% for 36 months, and then the 18% will be the interest afterwards. Determine the deposit that this person must pay. Now, remember, hire purchase is more like an agreement that you enter because you don't have all the money, and then you decide to pay what they will tell you per month, but you'll have to keep the item, use the item as you pay off. It's more like a bond or any other loan where you get to use the item before the payment is complete. So since the deposit percentage is 15, so it's 15 over 100 multiplied by 12, 549. Okay, so punching that into the calculator, we are getting 1,882.35. Okay, then 1.3.2 determine the monthly installment. Now, for us to get the monthly installment, remember from the 12,549, we have paid 1.8. We need to get the balance first of all. So 12,549 minus 1,882.35. Okay, we said 549. So our balance becomes 10,666.65. Now it is this balance that is going to attract interest because this is now the loan amount. Okay. Now what we're going to do, hire purchase uses simple interest. Okay. P into 1 plus IN. So our P, we say 10,666.65. I'll write it down there. Okay, into 1 plus, we said it is 18%, 18 over 100. They told us for how long? 36 months. How many years are in 36 months? So it's like 36 divided by 12, which gives us 3. Okay, so let's see how much was supposed to be paid back, okay, after the interest was included. Okay, I'm getting 16,426.64. Okay, this is how much must be paid. And this is the total that must be split up within the 36 months. So meaning that our monthly payments, so this answer, we divide it by 36, we are getting 456.30. Okay, so that is the monthly payment for that question. And then 1.3.3, calculate the total amount of interest that will be paid on the hire purchase agreement. Now, this is the loan amount, okay? And what are you paying? You're paying 16,426, okay? So interest, remember, can also be calculated as the final value, okay, minus the loan amount. So the 16,426, okay, it was 16,426.64. We are subtracting 10,666.65. I believe this would have been the quickest way of doing it. 64, we are subtracting 10,666.65. Interest I'm getting is 5,759.99. Okay, so it's round about 5,760, 5,759. All right. And then question number 2, which is probability. They're telling us that we have 20 toddlers that were asked about their favorite yogurt flavor. Options were strawberry for S, apricot for A, and then mango for M. The data is shown in the Venn diagram. Study the Venn diagram and answer the questions that follow. If a toddler is chosen at random, what is the probability that he or she, okay, does not prefer any of the flavors? So you can see that the people or the number of people that are outside of the circles is basically 1. So it's going to be 1 over 20 because we have 20 toddlers. Remember, the probability formula is that the number of events over the sample space. Okay. Then prefers mango. We're seeing that 7 people prefer mango over 20. Then prefers both strawberry and apricot. Strawberry and apricot, the intersection here is 4. So it's going to be 4 over 20. Simplify this to 1 over 5. Then prefers apricot only. So apricot only is this section here where there is no intersection, there's nothing, just apricot alone, which is 3 over 20. Then which of the above events are inclusive? Now, inclusive simply means that there has to be an intersection. There has to be a meeting ground for those events or for those flavors. and that's gonna be S and A, or strawberry and then apricot. Explain your answer. We can say that S and A is not 0. S and A is not 0. In other words, the intersection, or rather we could just say S and A is not 0. All right, then 2.3, they're telling us we have two events A and B. It's given that probability of A is this, probability of B is that, and then probability of A or B is this. Calculate the probability of A and B. So we need to use the formula, the addition rule of probability, which tells us probability of A or B is given as the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. They gave us A or B as 0.78. That's a 0.3. And then probability of B is 0.65. We are subtracting A and B. Okay, so 0.78, when we plus this, we're gonna get 0.95 minus the probability of A and B. Let's move this to that side, we subtract. 0.78 minus 0.95 should give us a negative probability of A and B, okay? I know it looks a bit long or lengthy, but you just need to know how to work it out. So we're getting negative 0.17, which is probability of A and B. So divide by negative, meaning that our answer for probability of A and B is going to be 0.17. All right, then 2.4, we have a circular spinner divided into 15 equal sectors. Each sector will be numbered 1 to 15. And then when you spin it, it has an equal chance of landing on any of the numbers. What is the probability of getting a square number? So how many square numbers do we have between 1 and 15? We have 1, we have 4, we have 9. The next one is supposed to be a 16, which is out of range. So probability of a square number is going to be 3 items over the possible 15, which is 1 over 5. All right, so that is question number 2. Question number 3, which is still probability. They're telling us that a letter is chosen at random from the word GeoGebra. What is the probability that we choose A? So the question is, how many letters do we have all together? So this is 3, that is 6, 8. So we have 8 letters. How many A's are there? Okay, so we only have one A. So it's going to be 1A of a possible 8. Then a consonant, we know that a consonant is basically the opposite of a vowel, okay? So we have 2 vowels here, 3, and then 4, meaning that we are left with 4 letters that are consonants. So it's 4 over 8, which is the same as 1 over 2. Then 3.2, we have a class of 30 learners in grade 10. Following information was given. 6 are left-handed, 13 play soccer, and then 4 play soccer and are left-handed. Let R be a set of left-handed and S be a set of soccer players. Okay, so if I'm to draw my Venn diagram, because that's what the question is asking for. Okay. So left-handed is R, S is soccer. So the sample space here is going to be 30. They're telling us 13 learners play soccer. So the total here is 13. 6 are left-handed, that is a 6. 4 play and are left-handed, so something like that. Then we can go ahead and fill in the missing information that we're going to have a 2 here, so that this circle here must total to 6. Now, if this circle totals to 13 and we already have a 4, meaning that there's a 9 here, then when we plus whatever is inside of the circles, 2 plus 4 plus 9 gives me 15, meaning that there is a 15 that is left to give us a 30. So that is your Venn diagram. Okay. Then are the events players play soccer and left-handed mutually exclusive? The answer is a no, because left hand and soccer is not a 0. In other words, the intersection is not empty. There's something within the intersection. And we know that mutually exclusive events do not have an intersection, okay? Then how many learners in the class are right-handed and do not play soccer? Now, before we answer this question, just need to know that a person can either be left-handed or right-handed, okay? But the set that we are having has the left-handed that are playing soccer. Okay, so if you are not left-handed, you have to be right-handed, which is 15. So these ones are 15 and they are not playing soccer because they cannot be found within the circle of S. So we're just going to say 15. Determine the probability that a person is right-handed and plays soccer. Okay, so right-handed and plays soccer. So the 15 are right-handed. But the question is, okay, right-handed and do not play soccer, 15, that's perfect. Then how many are right-handed? So if the left-handed are 6, meaning that 24 are going to be right-handed, okay? But the question is asking, probably that a learner is right-handed and plays soccer. So this 9 here represents the number of people that are playing soccer only. Those ones are right-handed, okay? So we're going to say right-handed and plays soccer. I don't know, because R is for left, so right-handed. So we're going to say 9 over 30, which is the same as 3 over 10. Okay, then question number 4, which is the statistics. A group or a class of grade 12 learners recorded a distance they each traveled to the different destinations around the province during the forthcoming September holidays. Distance was recorded. Okay, so we have the intervals. So this a class or basically an interval, which is distance. We have the frequency, which represents the number of learners in each category. So is the distance an example of discrete or continuous? Now we know that discrete deals with countable data. This one deals with measurable. So we cannot count distance, we measure distance. So the answer is continuous. Reason, it can exist as ratios or as a fraction. In others, we can have a 10,5 kilometer, 10,2 kilometer, and all of that. So it can exist as a whole number or as a fraction, or it can be broken down into simpler parts. Then write down the modal class interval. So coming from the word mod, we know that mod is basically the number that appears the most. Now, when you're talking about the interval, we're looking at the interval with the highest frequency, with the biggest frequency, which is 18. So the modal interval will be 20 less x less or equal to the 18. Then calculate the estimated mean. Now with the estimated mean, remember the formula. The formula tells us that we must get the sum of the f of x over the summation of the f. Okay, so meaning that we need to find the midpoint of the intervals. Okay, midpoint of the intervals, we just have to plus 10 plus 20 gives us a 30, and then 30 divided by 2, that gives us a 15. And then 20 plus 30 is 50 divided by 2. That's going to be a 25. 30 plus 30 is 70 by 2. The 35, we have a 45, and then this becomes a 55. And then we shall have to do the multiplication of this column and that column. And then we get the answers, plus them together, and get our results. So what I'm going to do, instead of me doing that, I'll just simply punch everything at once. So I'm going to have 15 times 11. Plus 25 times, the next one is 18. Okay. Plus 35 times 10, plus 45 times 6, and then 55 times 5. The total I get, I'm going to divide by how many learners do we have all together. So this gives me 50 learners. Okay. So it's 50 learners. Then I'll have to simplify whatever is on top, meaning that the 15 times 11, we're saying 15 times 11 plus 25 times 18 plus 35 times 10 plus 45 times 6 plus 55 times 5. And then we are dividing this by 50. And then the answer we're getting is a 30,2 kilometers. Do we have to round off? Yes, we have to round off the nearest kilometer, which is going to be just 30 kilometers. All right, then which class interval does the median lie? Now remember, with the median, I can say a half of 50, which is 25, okay? Or somebody could say a half of 50 plus 1, which gives you a 25,5, no problem, because we know that for us to get the position to be a half n plus 1. Now, where do we locate the total of 25 from the frequencies? So we can see that our first interval is 11. Okay, 11 is smaller than 25, meaning that the median cannot be found there. Then 11 plus 18 gives us a 29. Okay, 29 is bigger than 25, but 11 was smaller, meaning that technically the median must lie within this interval of 20. So we're going to say 20 less x less or equal to 30. And then 4.5, calculate the percentage of learners that traveled more than 50 kilometers, okay? So this second last interval stops at 50. The question wants more than 50. So our interest is this 5 here, because that's where learners traveled more than 50 kilometers. So just tell us the 5 learners over 50 learners in total times 100. And this gives us a 10%. So guys, that brings us to the end of this revision paper. We wish you guys all the best in your preparations. Please believe in yourselves, trust yourselves, go out there and make yourselves proud. Okay, wish you all the best. I sign out.